Hi. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. So today and all this week, we are discussing stuff in nature. So today it is trees. So let's talk about trees. Okay, so some fun facts I found about trees are that wind-blown cottonwood seeds can stay airborne for days before they land. In fact, they can fly longer than any other kind of tree seeds. The rings in a cut tree, they don't just reveal their age, they also show signs of environmental change. What do you think of when you hear environmental change? So an example I think of is like if there was a flood. You can tell if the tree was damaged because of that flood. Or if there were like fires or that kind of stuff. If there's something that changed the environment, even if there was a drought, their rings inside the tree can show you just how it has aged over time. And there is no other organism on earth that can live as long as a tree. Okay? So what do you think is the biggest tree? You don't know? Okay. Well, the biggest tree is a giant sequoia, and it's in California's redwood forest. And some of them can measure up to 30 stories tall. So if you think most people live in a 2-story house for the most part, think of 30 stories. That's how tall this tree is. And it's about 82 inches in circumference. Okay. And this is just a picture of what a giant sequoia looks like. Okay. So, why are trees so important to us?
Because it's home to a lot of animals.
You're right, it is home to a lot of animals. And so trees are vital. As the biggest plants on the planet, they give us oxygen. They store the carbon dioxide we breathe out. They stabilize the soil, and they give life to the world's wildlife. They also provide us with materials for tools and shelters. So if you think way back years ago when they built houses out of log cabins and stuff, they had to get those from trees. And they made their tools, and some of our tools today still are made with like wooden handles and stuff like that. So a lot of our tools and shelter come from trees. Okay. How long can a tree live? Any guesses?
50?
50? Be surprised. You ready? A single tree can live up to 5,000 years. How crazy is that? 5,000 years. Okay? And the tree with the longest lifespan is the Bristol cone pine. And California currently holds the record for the oldest living trees. Some of the state's Bristol cone pines and giant sequoias are thought to be 4,000 to 5,000 years old. So California's got some pretty old trees. Okay, and that is a picture of a Bristol cone pine. Okay, now, how many trees are there in the world? How many trees do you think there are in the world? Just take a rough guess.
10,000.
10,000? Okay, you ready for this? In the world, there are roughly 3 trillion trees. And if you think about it, most of those trees are in the rainforest, because that's how the rainforest is. It's just full of trees for all those tropical animals that live in the rainforest. And so if you think about that, that is roughly 400 trees for every person. So for every person there is living on Earth, they could have 400 trees. It's a lot of trees. Think if your front yard was filled with 400 trees. I don't think they'd all fit. Okay? And did you know that every state has a state tree? Every state, there's state bird, state flower, state motto. There's all these different things that states have. They also have their own tree that is specific to, and some states do share their state tree, but every state has what they define as their state tree. So let's learn about some of the ones. We're going to learn about the ones from Nebraska, and then about some of the ones that surround Nebraska, some of the surrounding states. So first off, we have Nebraska. And the tree for Nebraska is the cottonwood tree. So remember how in the beginning we talked about how, the cottonwood, it's like cotton balls, they can fly for days upon days upon days. Well, that is our tree. We have the cottonwood. And the cottonwood are deciduous trees, and they are distinguished by their thick, deeply fissured bark and the triangular to diamond-shaped leaves. And Nebraska and Kansas actually share the same state tree. So our state tree is also Kansas's state tree. So this right here is a picture of the cottonwood tree, and this is just a closer up picture of what its leaves look like. So if you ever see these leaves around, you know that is a cottonwood. And they're, like I said, that's our state tree. So I'm guessing there's probably a lot of them around here. Next, we have the Iowa state tree. The state tree of Iowa is the oak. Ooh, I clicked. Go back. Okay, is the oak tree. The oak tree was chosen because it is abundant in the state and provides shelter, food, and nesting cover for many of Iowa's animals and birds. The oak tree is also the national tree of the United States. So even the whole country has its own tree, and it is considered to be the oak tree. And this is a picture of an oak tree. And I'm originally from Iowa, so I had to learn this when I was a kid. We had to learn all about everything, like our state bird, our state tree, all that fun stuff when I was growing up. So pretty sure I had an oak in my yard growing up. I think my dad's cut it down since then. The next state we're going to talk about is South Dakota. So the state tree of South Dakota is the Black Hills spruce. The Black Hills spruce is a beautiful, short-needled white spruce tree. So it kind of almost looks like a pine tree a little bit, how it looks. And that is South Dakota's tree. Next, we have Wyoming. So Wyoming state tree is the Plains cottonwood. So like I said, ours is the cottonwood tree. And then when you go to Wyoming, it's the Plains cottonwood tree. The Plains cottonwood is a large, fast-growing, short-lived tree of the Great Plains and the eastern border of the Rocky Mountains. So you will find this tree in the Great Plains. And do you guys know what the Great Plains region is? It's kind of where we live. Mm-hmm. And then it can be found all the way to the Rocky Mountain border. And then this is just a picture of the Plains cottonwood tree. I don't know if this picture is at a different time of year, but if you look at it from when we looked at the cottonwood tree, this one seems to have a little more color to it than the tree, than the regular cottonwood tree. Okay, and then Colorado. The state tree in Colorado is the blue spruce, and it is known for its stately, majestic, symmetrical form and its beautiful silver blue color. As you can kind of tell in the picture, it's a very pretty blue color. It's sometimes also called the silver spruce. The Colorado blue spruce ranges in colors from green to blue to silver. Have you guys ever seen a blue or silver tree before? Okay. And this tree is also the state tree of Utah. So, what is Arbor Day? Do you guys know what Arbor Day is? I didn't mean to. Don't read what it says. Do you guys know what Arbor Day is? Have you heard of Arbor Day before? Or Earth Day? It's also considered Earth Day. Okay, so Arbor Day is an internationally recognized day for the planting of trees with the goals of conservation and forestation. Basically, it's a chance to protect the trees we have and to bring trees to places without them. So it's just kind of a day where where everybody kind of talks about, and it's not just trees anymore. With it being Earth Day, it's just kind of about cleaning up our environment and doing that kind of stuff. But it was actually Arbor Day started in Nebraska City. So it's actually a Nebraska thing. It started in Nebraska. Did you guys know that? Yeah, it actually started in Nebraska. A guy, his last name was Mormon. He started Arbor Day back in April 10th of 1872. And it was said that on that day, Nebraskans planted 1 million trees. That's a lot of trees, isn't it? So earlier we talked about how there are 3 trillion trees in the world. And then in one day they planted, and it's not for sure, but they say it's estimated that they planted 1 million trees that day. Okay? But, so, let's talk a little bit more about the history of Arbor Day. Okay. So that's the end of the slideshow. But we're going to talk some more about trees because we still got some time. So like I said, Arbor Day was started back in 1872. There was they wanted to preserve trees and can't talk. They wanted to preserve trees and to build more and to plant more trees and all that. The person who originally started Arbor Day was Sterling Morton, and then his wife Carolina Joy French. They originally lived in Michigan, and then they moved to Nebraska when it was being formed as a territory. So you remember how when the United States started, it was all the countries slowly came into the country, and so when Nebraska first started off as a territory, this family came to Nebraska, the Mortons, and they saw that there were barely any trees here. So they decided that they wanted to build trees to help improve the environment and beautify the landscape. Because if you've ever traveled across Nebraska, we are a very flat state. There's not really a lot to see. So they wanted to make it more something to see. So they decided they wanted to beautify the landscape and attract other settlers to come to the area. They wanted more people to come to Nebraska, otherwise it wouldn't be a state. So he carried out his work, and he got big into agriculture and even into political positions to help get everything going. And then, like I said, in 1872, he decided he wanted to set aside a day to plant trees and get trees out there for everybody so that everybody could see them. So the birthplace of Arbor Day was in Nebraska City, where the Mortons lived in their home. And then in 1855, that's when Nebraska declared that this Sterling Morton, the person who came up with Arbor Day, that's when they decided that April 22nd would be Arbor Day because it was his birthday. So that's how they came up with Arbor Day. Have you guys ever done that where you planted trees for Earth Day or Arbor Day, whatever you refer to it as? Yeah. I did that when I was a kid. I have a big old pine tree growing in my parents' backyard. So more about trees. What can we use trees for? If you think about all the stuff we get from trees and all the things that we can use with trees, what can we use trees for?
We make
To
paper
build houses.
Okay, build houses. Go ahead.
and we can make paper out of them.
Yep, paper. We can build houses. We can make tools. If you think when it comes to like crafts and stuff, when the leaves fall off the tree, or even if you pick the leaves off the tree, you can make leaf drawings on papers. Where you put the, I think it's been a while since I've done it, but you put the leaf under the paper and then you just kind of do like the crayon rubbing or the oil rubbing or whatever you're using, and you make a leaf on paper. And then if you what's up?
I've made a bookmark with leaf.
Oh, that would be cool. Yeah, you could even, if you have the right materials, you could almost laminate it in a way and make a bookmark or something to keep if it's something you want to remember. And then if you think about it, like when my dad, we had this big crabapple tree in our backyard, and when my dad cut it down, we saved all of the wood and we gave some to some people, and they cut it up smaller, and you can use it to make art projects too. I know growing up, one of my teachers in school, she would have us make one look like a watermelon when we were learning about, I think it was kindergarten, when we were learning about the letter W, we used a block of tree to make a watermelon. So there's lots of different uses for trees. You can even, what do a lot of kids like to do with trees? They like their parents to build them something in a tree. What is that?
I built a birdhouse in a tree.
Yeah, birdhouses are perfect. I know you guys got some supplies kit this week to make bird feeders, which are perfect for trees, so that you guys can feed the birds. You can make bird houses. What else? There's one thing I'm thinking about.
Tree house?
A tree house, yeah. I always wanted one as a kid. We didn't have the right kind of tree to build a tree house in, but lots of kids like to have tree houses and trees. Those are fun to play with. But there are lots of great uses for trees, and there's lots of trees to see around. We don't just have cottonwoods in Nebraska. We have lots of other trees. There's oaks, there's elms, there's lots of trees to name. What?
Maple.
Maple, yep. What other tree names do you guys know? Do you know any other trees? What?
A pine tree.
Pine tree. Let's see, what else can I think?
And a cottonwood tree.
Cottonwood, yep, that's Nebraska's state tree. And then pine trees. Growing up, like I said, I had a crabapple tree. It had these little fruits on it that dropped. What kind of fruits grow on trees? Do you guys know?
Apple trees.
Apple.
My yard has a pear tree.
Pear tree. What else? Have you guys ever heard of a plum growing on a tree? There are plum trees. Peach trees. There are lots of different things with trees. Trees are great for our environment. They're great for us. Okay, so we're going to talk about a few things on a tree. Okay, so what is the main, so you got the trunk, right, of a tree. What is that called that's on the trunk?
Bark.
The bark. Then you got all the branches that have all the leaves. Do you think you could use the bark for anything?
You can use it for firewood.
Yeah, you can. It's always great when you go camping and all that stuff to have firewood.
And you can use some big pieces to make a mini dollhouse.
Yeah, you can. There are lots of great uses for trees and the wood that comes from them. Do you guys have anything else you know about trees that you want to talk about? Anything we haven't talked about that you're interested in with trees?
My favorite thing to do outside is climb really tall trees.
Oh yeah, that's always fun for kids, I think. I enjoyed that too as a kid. Till my mom would say, "Get down before you fall and break something." Okay, so like I said, this week we're talking all about nature. So today it was all about trees. I hope you guys learned some really fun facts. So I want you guys to tell me one fun or interesting fact that you learned today that you did not know before we started this Zoom lesson.
That Nebraska's tree is the cottonwood.
Okay. Anything else?
I learned that Arbite came from Nebraska.
Good job. I always like when you guys tell me you learned something new, so I'm not just giving you all the same information you knew. See, and when I was working on making this PowerPoint and talking to you guys about this today, I learned that trees can live up to be 5,000 years old. I never knew that. I knew they could live a long time, but I did not realize 5,000 years. It's a really long lifespan for a tree. I also didn't know
There's like 3 trillion trees in the world.
Yeah, and that there's 3 trillion trees in the world. I mean, I kind of thought there was a lot of trees, but you know, trees get cut down and there's deforestation. But to know that there's still 3 trillion trees and every person could have 400 trees, it's pretty crazy. So today was all about trees. Does anybody know what we're supposed to talk about tomorrow? Have you looked ahead? Tomorrow it is all about paws and prints. So that is about all I have for you guys today. Like I said, I hope you learned something new and you got some interesting facts on trees. I will see you all tomorrow. Bye.